Hi, and welcome to Journey Forward with Jory Rose, where you will gain insights, tools, and inspiration to get unstuck and live your best life. Jory is a licensed marriage and family therapist with a passion for helping people cultivate awareness and authenticity so they can show up fully in all aspects of their life. And now, here's Jory.
Welcome back to Journey Forward with Jory Rose. I'm so excited to have Erin Kreitz Shirey on today as my guest. Hi, Erin. Good morning. How are you?
I am good. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited to connect.
Yes, I'm looking forward to our conversation. And I think we could talk about so many different things because I think you and I are really aligned in a lot of ways. But tell everyone what your magic is, what makes you sparkle, and let's just take it from there. And what is it that you do that got you here on your journey?
Okay. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. So many things to answer.
I know. No pressure.
The part that makes me sparkle right now is their second day of school, and all three of my girls started school again yesterday, and they did great. So my youngest
Cheers to that.
So that's a huge one right there, right? But what do I do and what makes me sparkle and who am I? So as Jory shared, I'm Erin Kreitz Shirey, and I own a business called Inspirator Coaching and Fitness. I am actually a motivational speaker, empowerment coach, and I lead fitness and empowerment retreats called Inspirator Retreats that as of today, you're hearing it first, we just signed our first international retreat leader in London. So exciting. That actually happened right before. I know. So I'm certifying actually other women to lead their own Inspirator retreats and getting certified to become an Inspirator coach. And so an inspirator is an
I was going to say, what is an inspirator?
Yeah.
I love the word.
So it's a fun story behind it too, and it's part of my own journey with what I do. But it's a word that my middle daughter created. My daughter's names are Mackenzie, Emerson, Finley, and they are currently 15, 11, and 5. And so when I was pregnant with Finley, Emerson, she's my wordsmith. She comes up with the best words, and she's super clever. And I am, as I shared, a personal trainer and empowerment coach, an inspirator coach. And I was in the backyard doing burpees, prepping for boot camp the next morning, 7.5 months pregnant. I taught,
oh my God, hold on. You were doing burpees 7.5 months pregnant?
Well, yeah, you do what your body does normally when you're pregnant, right? And so
Not all of us do what we did normally when we were pregnant. I ate a lot of grilled cheese.
Some people eat grilled cheese. I was doing burpees, right?
More power to you. Okay, I'm already inspired.
Yeah, so I taught till actually, not with Mackenzie, but I taught till Emerson and Finley till they were both born. But to get on with it, so I was doing burpees in the backyard and just putting together some circuits for the next day. And Emerson looks at me and says, "Mama, you're an inspirator." I said, "What?" She goes, "If you can do that many burpees with your big belly, your boot campers have no excuse." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, kid." I goes, "What's an inspirator?" She goes, "It's an inspiration and motivator in one." I said, "Oh my gosh, that's brilliant." And so immediately I wrote down the word and fast forward, trademarked the word, transitioned my entire business to be called Inspirator Coaching and Fitness. And
I love that.
And so it's,
I love that.
It's so, thank you. I really do too. And I love the fact, honestly, being a middle kid as well. I've got an older sister and younger brother. I love that my middle kid came up with the word as well. Just the middle kid part of it. But it's so fun. And so, so she actually, the power behind the word though, and which is a big part of my own mission, is to really empower everyone to live like their own inspirator, to where you have within you everything that you need, but you have to step in, dig in, do the work, and really own it. And to believe all of that, to live your dream life right now. And so it's pretty exciting and it's fun because the word itself, it could be a noun, it could be a verb, it's a movement, it's all of that. And once I stepped into being my own inspirator, my own life shifted in so many different ways as well, versus feeling like, wait, I can't do that just yet because X, Y, and Z is happening. And, so because my background in fitness and wellness was just a little background right there, which will explain a little bit more just to progress forward. But so I had an eating disorder when I was in middle school to high school. Mm-hmm. And at that time I was like, you know what? I want to empower other girls with their self-esteem through sports. So they want to experience what I went through so they can feel really good about themselves. And so fast forward, I got my degree in kinesiology. I became a personal trainer and worked with all these master trainers in this club called Club One in downtown Oakland. I got into corporate fitness and created all these women's wellness programs. But a big foundation of it all, because I had studied sports psychology so much too, and actually a lot of Eastern religion, interestingly enough, when I was in college, is that you blend all of that together, and it really is the inner work that transforms the outer work. Yeah. And so it's not, when it comes to exercise, it's not about the sweating itself. It's about that mindset of, I can do one more rep. I can do this. And when I exercise, it allows my body to do so many more things that I love with comfort, grace, and joy, such as if I'm training in the gym, then it means I can go for a hike with my family and feel awesome versus feeling wiped out. Or if I'm, honestly, with my own family, we just got back from Hawaii. I love Hawaii. It's my second home in due time. I go there a few times a year with the retreats, but then also with my own family. And to where we all just went surfing a couple weeks ago, and I got all the girls up on boards. They're out there, even my little 5-year-old's riding waves. It was so much fun.
It's amazing.
It was so cool. But to where I never even thought twice about going surfing, right? Because I'm an athlete, I'm a triathlete, I'm a trainer, I'm always active. And so it didn't even occur to me, I wouldn't go with them. Whereas some other people, if they were put in that position, they're like, I'll have my kids go, I'll sit on the beach.
I'll watch, I'll take the photos, I'll watch them have fun. And yeah.
Exactly. And so therefore you're living these wonderful experiences, enjoying that time with those that you love versus right there sitting on the beach taking the pictures.
I love what you're doing. And I have so many, I think first of all, we could talk for hours. So, unfortunately, I think we'll just have to continue that offline or do more episodes together. But, I love what you said about, because it really aligns with the mindfulness and meditation and mindset work that I do. And as a therapist, I also bring in different layers and levels to that, right? But it sounds like so much of the work that you're doing, if we're not aligned on the inside, how can we expect the outside results? And I think that's a big step that most people bypass. Would you agree that people bypass the inner work and then get frustrated of, well, why isn't the outer work showing up? And I'm putting all this energy and effort and intention towards it, but why is my weight not changed? Or why have I not, been able to get stronger or fit into those jeans or, whatever it is?
You're spot on with that. And so it's actually why I stepped into doing more of the coaching work. Because in fact, I trained thousands of clients. I've had my own business for 15 years. And for a big chapter, it was a pre and postnatal stroller fitness business.
Okay.
And during I was like the TV fitness editor for the TV show and all these different things. But what would people always ask? How can I lose weight fast? How can I fit into my skinny jeans? How can I, what's the magic ticket? I'm like, but you are the magic ticket. That's what I would always say. There is no magic ticket. You are the magic ticket to make those changes. And so if you fit into that pair of jeans, will it make you feel better? No, it doesn't. It just, some of it might, right? Because you're like, the hard work that gets into it. But what I would always say is buy a pair of jeans that make you feel good right now. Cut out the size. Just cut that size out in the inside to make you feel good wherever it's at, and then work towards and get stronger. And you take away that pressure of weight. You take away that pressure of looking a certain way, and you feel more joy without even realizing it. So then when you are actually leaner and fitter and stronger, it doesn't even occur to you to be a certain weight because you're so excited with how strong you are, with how many push-ups you can do, with the fact that you're climbing these mountains, that you're kayaking all over, that you're surfing with your kids, that you're, doing triathlons, whatever it may be. It takes that pressure off your back. And there's so much, the health and fitness industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry for a reason, because people want to buy that quick fix. And what you just shared, they want to bypass it. They don't want to do the work on
it's like spiritual bypassing.
Spot on, right there, right? It's spiritual bypass. It is completely spiritual bypassing. And so when I started blending in the coaching piece, it is amazing the transformations that have happened. And in part because I was doing that organically without realizing it.
Right.
But then when I shifted even my own clients and the retreats that I do where, okay, I'm going to get you comfortably uncomfortable, and doing these fitness and empowerment retreats to where we're going to go out there, going to do boot camp and TRX, but then we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about what brings you bliss, what brings you joy, how are you stepping into your goals, how do you feel about your body, Well, let's tap into that and then get kind of uncomfortable. So then you step up in that internally, and then you go right to another fitness adventure, but with a team, because you're around these other women. So you realize you're all in this together too. So it's not this feeling of I'm on my own island. I'm the only person that feels this way. And nobody knows what it's like to want to lose 15 pounds, or you know what I mean? It's negative Nillies go to the side. I don't deal well with negative. But
and it's something I think, especially as women, it's something we all can relate to on some level, right? And regardless to the extent of our fitness or our size, we all feel it. Mm-hmm. And it's something I love that you're bringing this up, because I've been struggling. So I used to be really overweight when I was younger. My highest weight, and I'm pretty short, so I'm not even 5'2". So when I was in high school, my highest weight was 181, and I was pretty big. And I look back at those pictures and I'm like, oh my God. But in my head, I'm still kind of like that overweight girl. At my wedding, I was 24 years old. I weighed 109. I went from 181 to 109, and I've never had an eating disorder. And the majority of that was lost through Weight Watchers and exercise and awareness. And then I balanced out my weight. But even at 109, I still wasn't happy. I never felt like I actually arrived, or I made it, or I never felt thin. And it's such a mind fuck, right? Well, wait a second, I've just lost over 70 pounds. How come I don't feel better yet? And I look back to the points in my life when I was at my most thin, and I was my most miserable at those times in my life. And now I'm super happy, and I'm struggling with my weight now, but now I have a different relationship to it, because I recognize I don't want to get back to that weight, because the conditions that were present when I was that weight are not the conditions in which I want to live my life.
Yeah, completely. And to where the weight part doesn't make you happy. Getting to that certain weight doesn't make you happy. But when you really like, what brings you joy? Thinking of what brings you joy, what brings you delight, what fills your cup, what makes you feel so strong, what is it that, where do you want to travel to? Where do you want to live this beautiful life that you have right now without wasting time? And the amount of hours that are spent wasting time by, I don't want to go to this event because I can't wear this dress. I don't want to do this because I don't look the right way. Or I work with quite a few entrepreneurs because health is a foundation to everything else. And when it comes to even say Facebook Lives, to where they are uncomfortable doing Facebook Lives, if they have to show their whole body, it's like, why? And it's really interesting too with many, because I work with so many entrepreneurs, I work with a lot of type A women as well. And that were college athletes. I work with so many different college, just how it works, right? And so like, oh, but I did this in college. I'm like, yeah, but that was college. Look where you are right now. You're 40 years old and amazing and running this company, being active with your kids. Let's focus on that. Don't worry where you were back then. That time will never happen again. Let's enjoy where you are right now at this moment and feel invincible along the way, right? And so it changes everything. And it's really interesting because my oldest daughter was actually a blessed surprise. And her name's Mackenzie, and it's Miracle Mackenzie. And so when I got married, actually, we really wanted to get married before she was born. And we knew that, my husband and I did. We were planning originally a wedding for the following year, but we ended up getting married, 2 months after we found out that I was pregnant. But that being said, that it was one of the biggest blessings too, because of my own wedding day. And that year we had been to, we were in 13 weddings.
Wow.
And our own wedding day, I was so relaxed, so kicked back. They had taken my dress the day before because they didn't know if it was going to be too big or not. And because we didn't know if I was going to pop. By that point, I was 4.5 months. And there was no high. I was so happy that, we were so excited to welcome this baby too, but it was so funny because there was no pressure to be a certain size on my wedding day. There was no pressure and I just say it transformed everything, even that fitness and wellness industry too. And having done so much TV and media work and been a speaker on so many stages, to where you are in fitness and people have a certain expectation. Yeah. And it's interesting with that. So I'm like, that's their expectation. But even you've got now different people in the industry sharing about how it's a false advertising. And many of my friends that have done all this different media work, and even Tony Horton and I were talking about this a couple of years ago in an event with Shape Magazine, and just talking about the lean factor. He was saying something about women. And I said, Tony, but as a female too, when you have babies, you know how your body changes, and where are you at right now is what you should focus on, not where you to get back to something, because you can never get back to that spot.
Which is the ultimate practice in mindfulness. Be present, right? The more that we are trying to go backwards, or the more we're trying to say, I'll be happy when, we're not enjoying anything that we're doing right now.
Completely.
And so with that Inspirator mindset and to motivate, I love how you said we are our own ticket. Like there's no magic pill, because if there were, we all would have taken it and we'd all be thin and happy. But even if we're thin, we're not necessarily happy. Even if we're strong, we're not necessarily happy. So it's got to be a full package. I wanted to get your opinion on this. This is something that, so I'm being so in tune with my own awareness. I notice I put on weight when I'm stuck in my emotions. And that's where it's a cue for me to like, okay, let me do some journaling. Let me go back to meditation on a longer basis versus my shorter meditative routine I have in the mornings. Let me be really curious with what's going on with my body by what's going on in my life. So do you bring that aspect into have that curiosity to be in a different relationship to what's showing up? How do you talk with your clients around that?
Well, a big part of it is, one is having them be present with where they're at. Quite honestly, like what you just shared right there. So really have to be present with where they're at, because often what happens is there'll be this period where things are going so well that women get fearful of things going so good. They almost self-sabotage. And so why are you self-sabotaging right now? And the self-sabotaging could be coming in from like late night snacking, or drinking too much, or not working out when they know that they should. Right. But it's almost this fear of success for many people too. To wait, can I attain this?
I see that all the time.
Things are going so great with my kids right now, and I work so hard to be this great mom while working, while doing, whatever it may be. And can I maintain this? Can I do this? I said, well, it doesn't matter if you can maintain it right now. Enjoy it, but don't beat yourself up, because life is good. And why is it that you're putting yourself, like you're almost as if fearful of jumping forward, going, wait, what if it's even better than I anticipated? And allowing yourself to feel that joy and that excitement and that complete, like a kid. Like, honestly, my youngest daughter so excited about recess today, right? That joy that you have as a little child of new things, that joy that you not knowing what's next. And so self-sabotage kind of comes into play for many women to where they do then add on weight, and they do because they let those stressors tackle them versus them attacking the stressors. And them going, let me attack this stress. Let me just go for a long walk and really be in these uncomfortable thoughts. And that's where people don't like to be uncomfortable. They don't want to be in the uncomfortable thoughts. And so what's interesting is my own backstory a little bit. I don't know if you know this part. You might know a little of this. But so all three of my kids have had medical challenging, life-threatening medical challenges. And so for two of them, we almost lost Mackenzie and Emerson both. And both of them are hospitalized for long periods of time. Mackenzie for a really long period of time in first to second grade. And so when it comes to being present and it comes to really living life right now, that's one of my biggest missions in life, is to, hence the Inspirator component, where it's actually our family's mission, is to really empower everyone to live like their own Inspirator, to really own their time right now, because we know that it can turn just like that, and you have no idea what can happen. And so really soak in the goodness and allow yourself to feel the goodness, but then also allow yourself to feel the uncomfortable part, and not just. You gotta hold space. You gotta hold space for all of it. You do. You really, really do. And so it's like those time periods where, okay, if I find this pattern happening again, identifying it, and then doing even more work and giving yourself permission to say no to some things, like lock some things off your calendar, cancel some appointments if you need to, and really just be true to yourself and spend time with yourself, and then get out of that unk part, the gunk, we kind of call it. So,
well,
yeah.
And one thing that I see both with my clients and even with myself is we don't honor and give ourselves that permission to take care of ourselves, because especially as women and mothers, we feel that we are being most successful when we're taking care of everybody else. And I had this awareness with myself going, wait a second, I'm an entrepreneur. Why is it I can't make it to yoga when I want? Why have I not set my work schedule around my life schedule? Because what's the benefit of being in charge of my own life if I can't do what is good for me, what I love to do, what feels healthy, what's going to make me feel the strongest? And I've realized, wait a second, okay, I can see a ton of clients and make a great money, but if I'm not allowing myself that balance, then what's it all for? Because the more clients I see, I'm sitting in a chair all day long and my body is suffering for it. So I've made the commitment to myself to not see clients on Mondays and Fridays, even if that means to jam pack it in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to give me the balance that Monday and Friday mornings, I get to go to yoga and I get to write and I get to work on my online business and I get to maybe have lunch with a girlfriend because I'm an entrepreneur and then should have the flexibility to create the balance. But I think we get driven by success, or we get driven by shoulds, or we get driven by comparison, right? There's so many aspects.
I love that you just said shoulds, because I literally, the client I just had right before, she said, I should have, and I was like, oh, wait, we don't, because I know I said should, because I always say to everybody, don't say shoulds. Who said that you should do something?
Stop shoulding on yourself, right? I love that phrase. Stop shoulding on yourself. Well, and it's this idea of, where did you get the idea that was the should? Like, where did you get that from? And it might have just been a thought you once had and then started believing to be true. So if you can be up in observance of where did we get that idea from? Maybe it was told to us once, and because of our negativity bias, we're going to hold on to it like it's truth, right?
Well, what's interesting is you saying that piece that actually tapped into working for me, because I love being an entrepreneur. I love having owned my own business. I love what I do. I really do. My heart explodes every time I'm working with a client, because I know that it's not just affecting my client. I work with some men too, but to where I know if I work with these women, especially if they're moms, it's going to trickle down to their kids.
Absolutely.
I know that. And I've done family fitness boot camps. My husband and I have done co-ed boot camps too. I'll be leading actually co-ed Inspirator retreats, little couples retreats and such. And so, but what's interesting is my mom didn't go to, she was a teacher. My dad was superintendent. My mom didn't go to 100% teaching until my brother was in high school. And so they both were in education. And my mother-in-law she helped my father-in-law out with his vet practice. He's a veterinarian, had his own practice. And I had this in my head though too. I really want to be home with the kids, but I loved working. How can I manage this? And especially once they got sick, I had this in my head that I should just be working 2 days a week. I love what I do. I can work early in the morning, taught my boot camps, but then the rest of it, because I had a big fitness blog for a while. And whenever there'd be this success, one of the kids would get sick. It was always this pinnacle of big success. And so I took that as, well, maybe this is because I believe in God. And so I was like, maybe this is God saying something. Like, I shouldn't be loving work so much. I just focus on the fact that my kids made
There's that should again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what comes into this. And so maybe that's what's going on. And so what are you doing? What are you saying this to yourself for? You're great at what you do. It's a disservice to these women for you to not do what you do. Your kids are so happy. You are completely present when you're with them and having the best time. When you're trying to pull yourself like Gumby in two different directions, that's when you get stuck. So what are you doing? And so when I gave myself permission to get unstuck with that, and that I should be full-time at home, but I also should be working, but I should be having at that time, especially lived in the Bay Area, right? To where there's a big power, everybody is working so fast and so many hours. And currently we moved from the Bay Area to Boise, Idaho 2 years ago. And the spaciousness of the shoulds being thrown out the window, quite honestly, is amazing. And so I love the Bay. Don't get me wrong. I love the Bay. But the spacious that I feel, though, to be, no, I actually love working. I love what I do, but it's in a container of time that works for myself. And I also know that I can't work, say, 40 hours a week. I work 25 most, because that's what feels good for me.
And that creates the balance for you, right?
Exactly. And that's what creates that sense of comfort and balance and a purposeful intention, quite honestly.
Well, and I think it's powerful because then we can role model to our children or to our friends to say, look, I can be 100% successful and have that be my own definition of what that looks like and not have to adhere. And of course, I'm sure there's many people listening who don't have the freedom to be entrepreneurs, don't have the freedom to work part-time, don't have the availability or flexibility or the know-how or the resources. And so I would say to that, look for where the balance can show up in other ways, right? Maybe give yourself less permission to have your house so clean until the family helps to clean it on Sunday, or have food delivery service and not stress about meals. Like, I think there's so many ways, if it's not within what you and I are exactly, proposing, so to speak, but it's that macro level versus each little micro thing. Because I what was that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I say there's always a way. And I say too, is like, you can turn anything from a negative to a positive. And go, well, like, no, seriously, you seriously can turn anything from a negative to a positive. You really can. Any challenging situation. My husband took on this phrase, embrace life's challenges. It's a Gaelic phrase that translates to embrace life's challenges. So we say ELC. How do you ELC? Right? So if you think, as you're just sharing that, think of, say, a single mom who's working and going, gosh, I would love to own my business. I would love to do this. I would love to do that. But at this point in time, at this chapter, this is where I'm at. So, okay, well, let me embrace those challenges and see what I can do. Maybe I can't get that meal delivery service every night, but I could do it one night a week. Or maybe this night I can rely on my neighbor and we flip-flop family dinner with each other. So one person cooks and we get to enjoy. The other night I'll cook for everybody and then they can come over and enjoy. Something like that, to where it's wherever you're at, to find the joy within that moment.
I love that. And then I think what you do to kind of wrap it up is how that then empowers our own strength physically, right? Because I know for me, like, I have a hard time physically working out when I'm drained and exhausted. Like, that will be the first thing to go, even though I know the fitness will help me feel stronger throughout the whole day. So it is that balance, but recognizing that one is definitely going to affect the other in a positive way rather than a drain, right?
Completely. And just see, like, what you can do versus what you can't do, just that positive. Well, what can I do versus what can't I do? If you're too wiped out to work out, then go for just a nice walk and listen to a podcast. Let's do a podcast. In wrapping up, I will share my one tip that I do when I don't have time to work out. And this is my 13-year-old daughter's fitness program idea. Every time she goes to the bathroom, she'll do like 10 squats afterwards. And it's so awesome. Or like lunges. And it's like, okay, well, I pee a lot, so I can make that work throughout my day. Like 100 squats in the day. I just set the intention. Well, Erin, I know that you and I could really, really talk forever. And I love that you're doing with the Inspirator. Your daughter came up with an amazing word. So I will make sure to have in our show notes, people can find you, and we'll have all your links to your awesomeness and your retreats that you're offering, because I've seen on social media what beautiful experiences you're creating and transformational experiences for so many people. So thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom, and keep doing your amazing work. You are an inspirator for sure. Oh, thank you so much. It has been so wonderful to spend time with you. And I love what you're doing as well. So you keep on it. And I'm so glad that we are connected. So glad.
Me too. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. And I think Erin and I will have to keep chatting because this is too much fun to talk about. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Take care, guys.
Bye.
To continue your journey forward, find Jory Rose on Facebook and Instagram to become part of her growing community. You can also gain access to her meditations, books, online classes, or to sign up for an upcoming retreat. Visit her at joryrose.com. That's JOREEROSE.com.